spooky blue lighting. What kind of white balance is this? Anyhow, so I got a different kind of video for you today on XO's vlog. I was talking to my friend Jason, aka NebuCloud, the other day, and he was telling me how all my videos are pretty much how to Instagram. So I thought, what a better way to completely depart from that, but teach you some photography tips. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about the exposure triangle a little bit today. Specifically, I kind of want to play around with ISO. I was talking to another friend of mine. He was trying to decide what kind of camera to get for low light, and we were discussing ISO a lot. And I think I'm going to talk a little bit about depth of field, and we're going to talk about aperture, but we're not going to talk so much about shutter speed. So the focus for today's video is going to be the Damn Designs djinn. I think this knife is perfect for a Halloween kind of theme, so I'm also going to pair it with a little tombstone action. My son's gifted me that and said it needed to be in my office, so here we are. I'm going to put it to good use, kiddo. So here we go. I'm going to go turn off the lights, and we're going to do this thing. Let's get spooky. So here's our spooky photo shoot. We've got ourselves a Halloween decoration, a knife, an LED light panel, and my EOS. I'm going to set you down right here. You can watch me on the screen. So, I use depth of field preview on my camera. So I have to actually press a button for you to see what the real depth of field is, because this is a mirrorless camera, obviously. So what I like to do first is I like to check the focus manually. Press this button and then zoom in twice. Make sure you get your focus point exactly where you want it, in this case on the DD logo. Hit the focus ring a little bit. Make sure it's exactly in focus, which is where I want it. Hit the preview, looks good, and then zoom back out. Now, you'll notice on the screen here, there's a little green arrow in that box that tells me that the focus is lined up in exactly that spot, and it's good. Don't always trust that little box. It's a helpful tool, but when you press the zoom in button, what you see, that's what the real truth is. So keep that in mind. So now that we have our focus set up good, and we're looking good on that, what I like to do next is work on the exposure triangle. So I've set it to 1/3 a second, and like a 30th of a second. I have a 35mm lens on this camera, and this is the slowest you can make the shutter speed safely in handheld mode, which I'm just going to use that as an example for this since we're obviously not handheld. So I have the f-stop, which is the depth of field value, the aperture of the camera, to set to 1.8, which is the lowest my lens will go to. Wide open, that's as much light as you can possibly bring in through the lens. And I have ISO set to 100 down here. ISO, think of that as like a fake light. And then I have nothing set to our exposure balance on here. So if we go ahead and change the value of the aperture here, I'll press the preview button. Actually, let me turn the ring. I have my control ring set. So you notice as the number gets bigger, we're at f8 now, the picture just gets darker and darker and darker as you make a smaller hole of light come in. What's hard to tell in this is that the background is actually becoming more and more in focus, and you're having more depth of field visually available to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the ISO to automatic, and that will let the camera adjust the ISO automatically, and I'll show you what I'm talking about again. So I hit the preview, I adjust my aperture, and as we get bigger aperture values, you notice that the ISO is compensating. It's up to 1,000 now. But at f5, look at how the background becomes more in focus. You can see more of the details in the tombstone, all the way up to f22, which is the max my camera will go to. But as you can see, that depth of field increases as that f-stop value increases. But that also means that the amount of light that you're getting into your lens is going to decrease as well, too. Now, ISO 100 is the baseline. That means that your picture is going to be as clear and sharp as possible. The higher ISO value, the more fake light that it introduces, the grainier your image is going to become. It's hard to tell on the preview screen of this camera, but we'll blow some pictures up and I'll show you what I mean. So if we set something cool like maybe F8, the preview on that, there's a decent amount of focus in the background there. You can see a pretty good amount. So our f-stop is set to 2000 by default. So I'll take this picture. I have a 2-second delay so we don't get any vibrations in there. So let's go ahead and bump this way up. Instead of 2000, let's go to its max value here. Now, to compensate for that and stay in the f9 aperture, I'm going to adjust the speed of the shutter, and I'm going to make it faster so less light has time to travel in the lens. I think right about here looks the same. I think so. The preview, yep. Take the shot. Now let's take a look at these two different images and compare the different values on the ISO. Let's pixel peep these images in Lightroom, and I'll show you what I'm talking about with these ISO values. So this is our original image. This is the 2000 ISO one. So if we go to 100% image view here, just in this black area, you kind of see some dust and stuff like that. But if we go back to fit, and then we take a look at our other one, which was shot at what? 256,000 ISO. That's the max that the camera will do. And then if we go to 100% on this, look at that. Is that obvious or what? Let's take a look at these again. I'll give you a close-up on your screen. So yeah, it's pretty obvious the difference between those two. So I hope that gives you a kind of understanding about how ISO directly affects how like pixelated and grainy an image can get. This is obviously like an extreme example. I would never set my camera explicitly to such a high ISO value for any reason. I think it's good that the camera has that capability. If for some reason you like really needed to take a shot, maybe it works different in video mode and low light. But it's great that the technology is getting there, that we have these capabilities to do such good stuff and get so much data in a low light image. It's like let's pixel peep it again, not in the gray areas, right? So this is our super high 256,000 ISO image. Then compare that to our 2000 ISO image. If you go up here, look at these details in the inside of the knife blade here. Now if we switch to the other one, see how murky that looks? There's just so much noise all over the place. The details really get lost there. Let's take a look right here at the edge of the blade, and then with the 2000 ISO, look at how much more detail there is in here. And this is raw out of camera. I haven't done any smoothing. I haven't done any color correction or anything like that. These are just the images that we snapped with our playing around settings. So those photos were okay. I mean, we weren't really trying that hard. I was more just trying to show you what was up with ISO and depth of field and stuff like that. So it's time for actual real photo shoot. We're gonna make this a little extra spooky with some smoke. Don't vape, kids, it's not good for you. I'm not gonna inhale for this. But we are gonna kick it up a notch. So let's check out what we got going. All right, so our setup's mostly the same. Still got our tombstone, still got our Damn Designs djinn knife, still got our blue LED panel, still got our camera. Now, I wanted to show now the lights are on. I'm actually using the camera strap folded up as like a little mini faux tripod here. One of the skills that you need as a photographer is learning how to make tripods out of anything that you have around you. So yeah, I'm going to switch my shooting mode for this one though. Instead of doing single shot with that 2-second delay like we had before, we're going to go into continuous high speed. You can't see this at all. Cool. That is our spooky photo for today. I want to thank Damn Designs for making such sweet knives. Not that they furnished this to me or anything. I bought this knife myself. I love it. It's just an awesome knife. Thank you, Damn, for making cool stuff. If you enjoyed this video, comment down below what your favorite aperture to shoot at is. I think mine's f8. I like f2 quite a bit too, but I think f8 is honestly my favorite. I use it probably the most in all types of photography. If you shoot with your phone, you don't know what aperture you use, comment that down below. And tell me if you liked this video or not. Do you want to see more content like this about photography and the exposure triangle, or do you just want to see more gear? So let me know. If you're not subscribed, I appreciate if you would. It does really help the YouTube algorithm out if you do. So I appreciate you. All my current subscribers, thanks. I'll see you soon. Later.